Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are on this Gooner planet of ours. I am back hosting a show with the two lovely Gooner ladies right beside me. So the Gooner Girls are taking over. To my left or right, whatever way it looks like on the screen, Sophie. Hello, my darling. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on again, and I'm really excited to chat with you both today. I can't
Sophie,
wait.
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me
Oh, that's
okay?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there's a little bit of a delay. Probably my. Yes, I can hear you now. Yep, all good. And believe work. Oh, something's put into my screen. I'm hoping everyone can hear me and see me. Laura, welcome to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. This is your first appearance, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I'm delighted to make my debut in such great company as well. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk to you both today. Amanda's frozen on my screen, so
yeah,
I don't know about
she's
you.
frozen mine a bit as well. I was worried it was me.
I'm wondering what. Okay.
Should we just wait until she comes back?
Right, we'll do our best Amanda
Right.
impression.
Is everyone okay?
Oh, wait,
she's back.
Is it my end that's struggling?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, she's gone again.
Yeah, she might have to come back in. It happens to me.
I think we've got a slight issue. Is it me?
It is, yeah, I think it is, because Sophie and I can hear each other.
I don't know what's going on. I'm not very good with all this. Right, is that better?
Yeah, we can see you now, okay, yeah.
See you now, we can hear you, yeah, I think we're good.
No. Hold on, let me just see if I can get this working.
That's all right.
Can I see you both for free?
You're sort of breaking up every couple of words. Never work with technology, people. Never work with technology. It's just not working.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time, though. Don't worry.
All the time.
I've got an issue with my internet. Right. I'm so sorry. Is it my end? Can you hear me now or not?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Am I back? Because this is not working this morning, is it? I've never had this before. Right. Let's try and get on, because I can see it's my end freezing. I do apologise to everybody. Let me try and do something, ladies. Hold on. Right. Oh. This is not good start, is it?
It happens to the best of us. It really does. Like,
yeah, it happens to
every single person in the world has had this. Happens to the best of us. I think it
Honestly,
makes it
authentic. This has never happened to me before. Oh, it's definitely authentic, all right. I've got an unstable Wi-Fi connection by the looks of this. This is what goes on. Honestly, where are the boys when I need them? Right, so let's just try and get on with the show. Let's just try. So, Sophie, talk to me about your love for Arsenal and how comes you support them.
Yeah, I mean, my story is always quite different to a lot of other people's, so I guess it's more exciting. But yeah, so obviously, like, I'm 21 now, so I've been an Arsenal fan for like 10 years. Yeah, I just, obviously, to those that will watch this, I don't have a London accent, so I live up north, and the clubs that people used to support were like Liverpool and United, Everton sometimes, but for some reason none of them really interested me. Like, I just didn't enjoy watching them. So Arsenal played Liverpool one day on TV, and I just loved how we played. I loved how Arsenal played, and at the time Wenger was the manager, and I really liked him. I thought the way he was very classy, the way he showed himself in interviews and stuff. I liked him, but I loved the players we had at the time. We had like Sanchez, Ozil, and the football we played then was really good. So that was pretty much, why I started supporting Arsenal. But yeah, I just loved the history of the club. I just loved everything about it. And I mean, for me, Wenger will always be my favourite manager, but I do love the George Graham era as well. But I think for me, I just love like the history about Arsenal, just everything about it, and then yeah, from that game on, I just started watching Arsenal really more gradually. But it's always quite crazy because in my family, you know, it's all Liverpool fans, so when we play each other, it's always a bit of a chaotic game, really.
But
Um,
that reason is because you live up north, don't you, Sophie? Is
yeah,
that so? It must be strange that you've gone against the Liverpool United big clubs up there, because or City, obviously they've emerged as well the last 15 years. That you went for Arsenal and you've stuck by Arsenal, haven't you, for years and
yeah.
years?
Yeah, it is crazy because I mean, if I would have liked Liverpool at the time or whoever, you know, I was watching then, it would have gone differently. But yeah, I kind of think it's nice as well to have a different story because I mean, everyone's story is always so different. But yeah, that is it's quite crazy, but pretty much how it went really. And yeah, being an Arsenal fan ever since really. But yeah, I did. To be honest with you, I did enjoy the time when I started watching at the start as well because I think we nearly won the league with Wenger. It was sort of 2015-16 season, so it
Yeah.
was quite enjoyable. But yeah, that's pretty much my story really of being an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Well done you for standing your ground and not supporting that lot. So, Laura, talk to me. It's lovely to talk to you. I know we talk on Twitter now and again, and I love watching all your stuff that we'll get into. But where's your love of Arsenal come from?
So I'm 10 years older than Sophie. And so I started watching Arsenal in about 2004, 2005. My brother, who's 2 years older than me, we're very close. We sit next to each other at the Emirates, and he loved football. He played football, and I kind of just copied him. There's been quite a lot of our life where I have sort of copied his route in life, his behaviours, and he was an Arsenal fan. And when we were kind of growing up, everyone was a Man United fan. That was the kind of, you were either an Arsenal fan or a Man United fan, and that was it. So I chose Arsenal because of my brother. I grew up in a town called Berkhamsted, which is northwest of London. Local club is probably Watford. So I'm very much one of those people that does not support their local club, guilty as charged. But that's just, you know, certainly family links, and that's how I came to love Arsenal. Really, I think I probably came to Arsenal after the Invincibles, so I feel like I've seen probably the worst of Arsenal, and now we're sort of coming back to better times. But certainly when I was younger, watching football and certainly staying at home and watching Match of the Day was like just escapism for me. Like, I think lots of people when they're teenagers are shy, anxious, and football for me was always a bit of an escape, really. And so that's kind of where my love has come from and has stayed with me for, yeah, I guess 20 years now.
Wow. So we've got all generations here, because obviously I was 56 this week. I can't believe I'm 56, which means I've supported this club for 56 years. That, I mean, I don't have grey hair because it's
You
coloured,
don't look
but
a
there is
day over
grey there.
21. You don't
I
look,
love
you're
you, Laura.
56.
You'll be coming back on the show. So it's so interesting how everyone gets into Arsenal and, you know, follows the club, and how they enjoy following as well. And obviously in the days where I grew up with it, there was no social media, there was no phones, there was no anything. We might have like a disposable camera, but we didn't take them to football. So it was very much you park up, and I'm not a drinker, so we never went to the pubs. We go to a cafe, have something to eat, and then go in the ground. Then we'd all come out and moan in the back of the car. You know, we didn't have this incessant amount of how can I put this, like information and debate and scrutiny. That's the word I'm trying to look for, is scrutiny. And I do feel, which you two are not, you know, party of, the 80s was much better. Obviously, George Graham came in mid 80s, and then the club turned around, because obviously before then it wasn't great. But we never had this, like, you literally buy a player at Arsenal now and he will be lambasted if thousands of people don't think he's good enough, or thousands of people don't think he should be playing for Arsenal, or he's not worth the money. I'd like to tell everybody it's not our money. It's a business. They will pay what they want for a player and sell what they want for a player. Unfortunately, we can't get involved in that. Yes, of course, you're entitled to opinions, but the scrutiny is weird, and I think I can distance myself from it because I've been in it so long. But Sophie, being a young girl, and obviously we can talk about the signing we had 2 weeks ago. Well, about 10 days ago, Madueke. I'm saying all the names wrong. And people think I do it for effect. They just don't know me very well. Madueke. Can you imagine how he felt, Sophie? Can you imagine how he felt, his family felt, his friends felt when he's got his dream move to a club like ours? How did it make you feel? Because I was absolutely raging. Absolutely.
It's tough, isn't it? Because I think there's a difference between, us having our opinion about it and then, sending him abuse. I think we're all sort of entitled to have our opinion as long as we're respectful. But I think, as you mentioned, the abuse, all of that he got, it's just crazy. And the sad thing is, we have seen it before with other players, like when Ramsdale came here and other players. And it's sad that nothing's really changed with over the years with these players. And I do feel bad for him, and it makes me want him to succeed even more because he's had so much sort of hate on him, and it's a real shame because, as you mentioned, he's coming to a new place. I'm sure he's really excited. He's said so many amazing things about Arsenal as well. So I think it's like really sad, and it's sad that he would have seen all of this as well. His family would have seen what everyone said. So I think it's really frustrating. I think with social media, I mean, if I was him, I'd probably just not listen to the noise, focus on Arsenal, but he should be able to go on social media and not have to read any of those hateful messages. But as you mentioned, it's sort of the world we live in at the moment with social media. It's unfortunately there's nothing that people can do about it unless actions are happened or stuff. It really is a shame because anyone can really say to you whatever they want without any sort of like a punishment, because I guarantee no one would probably say anything to Madueke what they said online in person. So yeah, it's a real shame for me. I mean, for me, like, I wasn't sure on the signing, but I do wish him well, and I hope he does really succeed now even more because of the abuse he got. And yeah, I do hope he's okay as well. I'm sure Arsenal are looking after him well, and yeah, I just can't wait to see him play. But it's so sad, isn't it, with social media? Because I know back in the day you didn't have social media, so they didn't have to go through that. And
No,
I just think it's a real shame.
it's interesting, Sophie, because so Laura and I are match going fans. You obviously watch from afar and get down when you can. I'm just going to carry on.
Yeah.
I don't think, Laura, that match going fans were the ones that were spouting this rubbish, because it doesn't seem like. So when I go to the Emirates, and I've sat in the same seat since day one, we don't speak like that. And a lot of people are not on social media. A lot of people around me are not on Twitter. I still call it Twitter, X. So do you feel you agree with me? Do you think it's just these people that are living in different areas that what came for him? Because I've said it again, and I say it a lot, and you two probably don't know this, but I constantly say on our podcast, until he puts that jersey on, until he crosses the white line, you have no right to judge, because look what happened to Havertz, because everyone kicked off about Havertz. And I do feel I just want him to answer with playing on the pitch and showing everyone what he can do.
Yeah, I think with the match going fans, where I sit, there actually are some people around me, not right next to me, who are as negative as I see on Twitter. And I always find it really strange that you would come to a match and from minute one be desperate to be negative. One, that's a lot of money for you to scream and shout your head off. And two, sometimes it's completely unwarranted. Like within the first 5 minutes, we've got effing and blinding. And I understand people want to create an atmosphere, etc. But there is it's the same as that Twitter and the algorithms of social media reward and post and boost outrage, things that will make people feel angry, that kind of thing. And I think it does spill over into the Emirates. The thing that I always say, and Sophie, you summed it up perfectly, is people think social media exists outside the realms of like social decorums. They think it's another world where the rules that we all grow up in and we learn how to treat people don't exist. And the number of times people will go, well, it's a free country, I'm entitled to my free speech. yes, you are correct, but that is not license for you. That's not a free card for you to say abusive things. And I'm sure both of you have got this, but some of the things that have been said to me, I sometimes want to reply and say, right, you look like you go to the Emirates. Come down and we'll have a little chat, and you can say that to my face, because you won't. And that's what I find so frustrating about being a fan on social media, is that there are so many nice interactions, such as meeting yourselves, like the conversations that we have, the content that you guys produce. I think that's a huge positive. But for every positive interaction I have on social media, there is also a negative. And certainly on games where we've lost, I will turn that phone off and I'm not engaging with it. And that is one thing that's good. You can remove yourself from it, but the damage is done. And the abuse for a player that we even before we'd even signed him, people were losing their minds. And I think, Amanda, I couldn't agree more. It's not our money. You are entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to unrelenting abuse towards a player who himself is not responsible for his fee, has not even played for us yet, and probably is coming to what is an enormous club and will be met with this wall of abuse. And it's just, it's such a kind of dark mark on what it's like to be on social media. And I don't know what the solution is, but it's certainly I see it every single day, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better.
No, and I'll give you a little story. So Edu, when he first came to the club and what he did, he was really, really not liked. When I went to the Etihad, Edu got out of a van with a few people. My other half went, "There's Edu. I'm not going to miss a chance to go and speak to an invincible, now part of our club, and have a photo." And I just got a great photo outside the Etihad before we went in, and I hesitated posting it because at that time the abuse was, and I thought, do you know what? I don't care anyway because I can handle it. But I thought, no, and I can't tell you the amount of people that were disgusted. I had a photo with him that said, "Oh, I hope you gave him what for?" No, I didn't. I respected the fact that he was an invincible and played for the Arsenal and was trying to do his best trying to do his best. And of course, then later on, it all turned around. And I'll never forget honestly, when I came out of the Etihad and I saw the comments, there wasn't one positive. As I said before, so when we get, like Laura, I love the fact that you invite people down to the Emirates and say, right, I'll meet you at half time. Come and say it to my face. I've never been in that position because I think it's slightly different for me. And I tell you why. Because when anyone comes at me on social media for any reason, anything, a lot of people do not like what I say. I've got no issue with that. You're entitled to say exactly what you want when you want, in a respectful manner. You absolutely cannot agree with me. I've got no issue with that. It's the way you do it. If someone comes at me for any reason, my sarcasm is fantastic. That is the one thing I love. I show them up. So I don't get annoyed. I just show them up for what they are. They don't normally come back. And I do interact with a lot of people on social media. I don't care if you've got 1 million followers or one. I couldn't care less. Followers mean nothing. Honestly, you see some big accounts with followers and you think, how the hell have you got all these followers? You're absolutely toxic. You do it for so many different reasons, and it's not for the love of Arsenal. So I do feel that I don't turn my phone off. I answer people, and the problem is I think I've been called toxic positive or whatever you call it. I'm just realistic and I love the club. I want the club to succeed. I'm a mum, okay, so I want my child to succeed, but there are times you might not like your child, but you'll always love them. And that's the same with supporting a football team, because there will be times. I mean, if you think back to the one annoying thing last season, was Martinelli's foot at Fulham was that much over. We could have won that. We could have won that game, got more points, got more momentum. In the end, I think we ended up drawing it. The foot, and I was like, oh my God, Martinelli, you should know this, and then I had a coach on the week after and he was saying to me, come on, that is stand. He made a mistake. You don't have to slaughter him for months on end. They're not robots. They're human beings that want to do the best anyway. So when this all happened with Madueke, no word of a lie, I lost my rag and I seem to have gained like 100 followers. And I don't get that many followers anymore, which is fine. I'm not worried about that. But I didn't know where they all came from. So there are quite a few people that did agree with what I was saying. You know, go away, stop supporting the Arsenal, go and support someone else, because that's not support. And I don't know if you two remember about, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years ago, the away fans, who are magnificent, absolutely magnificent, started cheering. So if we let a goal in, we were 1-0 down, they cheered our boys back. It was the first time we started doing it was away fans. And I was like, oh my God, I'm loving this. And so did the boys, because it picked them up. Instead of booing, and how many times, Laura, we've been at the Emirates and you've heard boos over the years. The only time I've ever booed, and this is honestly, was when we drew 4-4 to Spurs, right? In the last minutes, they scored to make it. We were like cruising that game. This is years ago. I just was so angry when I walked out. I was like, not booing, I was just like so angry that I couldn't even speak. I was like, it was driving me mad. But because it's them and because we should have won that game. But I don't boo players off the abuse. They're young players. Some of them, Sophie, are your age. You know, I can only imagine what that's like at your age. But the support, and then that's what I was trying to get to. I know I've diverted a little bit, but the support of the Emirates is very different to social media. Like my cousin who I go with isn't on any social media. He doesn't even know half the stuff I'm talking about. If I told him that, well, because we'll be going in a couple of weeks, obviously, together, if I told him that everyone lost their rag about Madueke, not everyone, but a lot, he'd be like, why? What is wrong with social media? He doesn't get it. He's not interested in it. So touching on what you said, Laura, about the social media content, I know that you do quite such funny videos. You do a lot of interesting stuff that is engaging as well. I love your humor. You're a little bit sarcastic like me. Enjoy that all the time. You're a regular on the Latte Firm, which that's where I saw you as well. And I thought, I love strong women. Forget just football. I love strong women. And I thought she's brilliant. I don't know. I'd never seen you before. And I was like, oh, I love her. She's brilliant. She needs to come on my podcast one day. How did this all start? And also, someone's just put a question in which I didn't even know. So thank you for that. Hold on. Karen Russell. Hi, Karen. For Laura, how did the Arsenal goggle box happen? So tell us all.
Oh, okay. So that was during lockdown. That was proper lockdown era. And the club were probably looking for ways to make content around watching the games, bearing in mind we were all watching from home. So one of the video editors, I think, messaged me on LinkedIn, just that I was a fan. Would I be interested in filming myself watching games? So we did that first season. I did it with my husband. He hated doing it because we had to watch with the sound off. So for Arsenal to repost that content on YouTube, they don't have the rights to the Sky commentary. So we had to watch all these games on mute, which is a horrendous experience, like really very, very strange. But it was nice that we were able to watch us win the FA Cup back then. So in 2020, when we won the FA Cup, we were obviously in that, which was super fun. I mean, to what we were just talking about, lots and lots of the comments were derogatory. Lots of them were, abusive about not being not proper fans, the usual stuff. Bearing in mind, and to what you just asked me there about lots of my content is a reflection of how I view the game. I think football is just a magnificent sort of microcosm of human behavior, and it's how it's funny, it's about emotions. That's how I view the game. I don't view it as tactics and numbers and XG and la da 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 da. So that's a reflection of it. And so it does, to the comments coming up, it does depend on who's commentating on the game. It was quite nice not to
and Shane wants to know why you didn't wear headphones.
It would have looked a bit weird. I think they wanted it to be authentic. And then they also wanted to be able to layer over the sound in the background. But yeah, certainly setting up like a camera and a ring light and putting a microphone propped on a desk in front of us was quite the experience. But no, my content is a reflection of how I view the game. And I think where football media has gone, and what I see a lot of on Twitter these days is really, really in-depth tactical analysis. And if that's your bag, crack on with it. If you love talking about things like verticality, passing maps, heat maps, field tilts, XG, go for it. And there are a lot of very, very clever people, much cleverer than me, who analyze games from a tactical point of view. That's just not how I see the game. I barely, like, you know, if you'd ask me for who's our starting lineup, I can just about do that, but I have to remind myself who's on the left, who's on the right. It's just not how I view the game.
Yeah.
So my content is a reflection of that. And the reason I've started doing it more this year is because I'm effectively on a career break, changing my career. So I've had the time and the headspace to put some ideas actually into practice, and it's amazing to learn new skills like editing, that kind of thing. And it's, again, to what we were talking about earlier, when people say they enjoy it, that's an amazing part of Twitter. That's, you know, when you get comments saying, I enjoyed this, or I related to it, that's why you do it. But you have to take the rough with the smooth, because
of course,
bear in mind, my content is light-hearted. It's meant to be a joke. You would not believe how many people take it really seriously and send me abuse. I'm like, I've made a video about Mean Girls. Like, it's meant to be funny. But that is unfortunately where we are on social media. There's just lots of people who get such a thrill out of saying something horrible, and that's unfortunate.
And that's the thing, isn't it? But some people just don't get it. They don't get. Sometimes I can be sarcastic on here, but quite serious, and I'll get comments on Twitter. Who does she think she is? And I'm like, no, you really don't. And I forget that people don't, because everyone close to me know me inside out. I don't change on here, at work, with my friends. In fact, I am the same person. I know a lot of people do for content, but I don't. Like you, it's just a reflection of who you are. But Sophie, being that you've actually got your own podcast, which is amazing in itself, that you regularly have such wonderful guests on and you run that yourself, I'm hoping you don't get much abuse, but I'm not sure. So talk to us about your podcast and how that came about as well.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, I think I was like 17, so it might have been like 4 or 5 years ago. And I think when you start off, you're gonna get comments, and I mean, I got it more on Twitter, to be honest with you, than on YouTube. But I think as time goes on, I mean, people just might not like you, or people might not like what you say. And I always say, if you don't agree with my opinion, then that's fair enough. Or if you want to give me like constructive criticism, then you're entitled to do that, and that's fine. But I think people just take it too far. I think possibly as well, because I'm a woman, maybe I have had sexist comments. I mean, I do sort of laugh them off. It doesn't get to me because I do find them quite funny, and you just can't let it get to you. But I think when you first do it, YouTube, and when you first start it, it can get to you because you're not expecting it. I mean, people can be really nasty, but you just have to think to yourself as well, they wouldn't really say that to you in the street, or they wouldn't come up to you and say that. So you have to think, with
Keyboard warriors, we call
yeah,
them.
so you have to think, they wouldn't search you in person, so why should they say that online? It's just sort of stuff, we've all been speaking about as well. So, to be honest with you, now I don't really get any. I don't think I get much at all now, but I think it's hard. I mean, when you have guests people don't like, you are going to get a bit of criticism, or whoever you have on, you'll get that. But yeah, I'm quite lucky now. I don't get much, but I think it's going to happen. It can happen to anyone, and definitely more needs to be done. But yeah, with the podcast, obviously, I started it. I think it was when Arsenal won the FA Cup, so it was a little while ago. And yeah, I just sort of started because I just sort of chatted about Arsenal, and as I said before, because my family don't support Arsenal, I like to just sort of rant on my phone and chat. At that point, I did sort of do videos by myself, so I started off that way. And then obviously I got guests on and done more stuff. But yeah, I just started because I just loved Arsenal, and I just wanted to chat and ramble about it, really. And then, I mean, it was a difficult time at Arsenal because I think I know we won the FA Cup, but we were 8th at the time as well, and it was just so depressing having to come on and chat about it because I just felt so like depressed about it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much how I started doing YouTube, and obviously I do a lot of match reviews, previews. I do love doing them, to be honest with you, but as you know, Amanda, it's hard coming on after you've lost a game. It's very hard to do a video. But yeah, that's pretty much how I started. Obviously, my channel is Gooner Gossip TV, where I do women's content as well. I do try to do
Yeah,
both.
we're going to get to that. So, how long
Yeah.
have you had Gooner Gossip TV?
Do you know what? I started that probably like lockdown 2020.
Right.
And do you know what I would say to those that are watching? Like, when you make your channel, the name for me is the hardest thing to think of. And do you know what? Looking back, I probably would change it now, but I just don't know what I'd change it to. The name for me is quite hard when you do a channel.
No, but everyone knows you by that.
I was going to say,
Sophie.
it's iconic now, Sophie. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
I feel like I
recommend
can't
anything
change it
else.
now.
Yeah, I love it.
Can't go
No,
back.
definitely. It is you. When anyone sees Gooner Gossip TV, they know it's Sophie. So
Yeah.
absolutely keep it. But it's interesting. I'll tell you a little, not a secret, but very early on with podcasting. So I've been podcasting, my God, it must be 12 years on loads of different things, and obviously been invited onto. I love going on to other people's podcasts. I really enjoy it. I did a few in the summer. But when Arsenal Fan TV weren't Arsenal Fan TV as they are now, we did like a live. No, not yeah. It was a live recording in a restaurant in Farringdon somewhere. There's about 8 of us. It was my first one, so I'm sitting there with quite a few people I know that were friends of mine that recommended me to come on, and Robbie asked me to come on, and we all chatted about it. But it wasn't the good times at Arsenal, I suppose. I don't know how many years ago it was. And I'm chatting away and I'm talking like I do on a podcast, not realizing I'm interrupting or just putting my point across, whatever. And I'm the only girl there, I think, or maybe one other. And when we finished, everyone said, "Oh, it was great. We might do this again." They hired out a place, whatever. I was like, "Okay, really interesting." And Robbie came up to me and said to me, "Don't read your comments." I said, "Who's going to comment about me?" I said, "What do you mean don't read what comments?" I honestly was so naive. And he went, "You're going to get comments. Can you just trust me on this? Don't read them." Well, I left the recording and I was like ringing my friend. I went, "Why is anyone going to comment about me? Why would they be interested?" There was 10 of us. OMG. Did they comment? And it was vile. I mean, more sexist than anything, and terrible stuff about me sleeping with everyone, and all the crap. But it made me laugh, and I said to Robert, "You weren't wrong, were you?" He went, "I just know." And he went, "How do you feel?" I went, "Oh, I don't give a toss." I said, "I've been going to football since 1973. Do you think I care about 27,000 people going, 'Are you sleeping with this one? How did you get on? She was annoying.' I don't care. I am annoying. I don't care. I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm a football fan. We're all annoying at times. I don't care." But it went on. And then I realised how to play it. So we did it like every other week in different venues. And then I realised you do need to let other people speak. You must not interrupt. And then the comments died down, and then they of that side, but then they didn't like what I was saying about the Arsenal. So I could win. So I will advise all of you, don't even worry about anything anyone says, as long as you're true to yourself. I get it on here sometimes. I mean, I'll say what I think, and that's that. I do not run. I'm not like sheep or anything. And don't be like that. Be your authentic selves, because why not? And I just want to get on to the sexism part. So growing up for me, I've never experienced sexism, because where I grew up, everyone was Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham, maybe a little bit United, but not much in the 80s. And everyone knew me, and everyone knew I went to football. So no one ever, and there's no social media, anyone I ever met, they would spend 2 minutes talking to me and they would know I knew what I was talking about. So that was that. Of course, as a woman, you sort of had to prove it a little bit, because I remember an old work colleague saying to me, "Why'd you go to football?" I said, "Why'd you go to football?" And the office clapped, because why are you asking me why I go to football? And it was like, yeah, I don't need to explain to you why I go to football. It was like, it was early 20s. And it's really interesting. So I've never experienced it over 20 odd years, 30 years, and then social media comes along and I still didn't experience it. What I did experience when I joined Twitter was men trying to chat me up, which was weird because I've I'd been married and I was like, well, I'm just here to talk football like I do in my everyday life. It was so weird. I didn't know what I'd got like 50 followers. I couldn't believe 50 people wanted to even talk to me about Arsenal. My friend said to me, "You got to join Twitter. It's brilliant for football banter." I went, "Why is anyone going to want to listen to me about Arsenal?" I was like this. Obviously, there is a niche that people want to talk, and 13 years later, how long I've been on Twitter, I don't even know. I've got the most amazing people I talk with, women, men, older men, older women, everybody. We all have a reason for loving our football and stuff like that. So, Laura, um, being that you were quite a bit younger than me, being that social media was out when you was into football and you had mobiles, because we didn't, that's how old I am. Have you experienced it? Have you? I mean, I'm sure you dealt with it okay, but have you experienced it?
Yeah, I think what you just said there about having to prove you're kind of a proper football fan. That's what frustrates me the most. Is I'll say I'm really into football. Oh, okay. And do you go to any of the games? Yeah, I go to Arsenal games. So you're actually really into it. Like, you've reached my criteria of what kind of fan you needed to be in order to be a football fan. And I'd say it's less now, but I still think there are quite a few subtle things that happen in the workplace, things like that, where it's very subtle, and it sounds like I'm complaining about something that's really, really minor, but it'll be kind of people address questions. My husband's a massive Arsenal fan. He always has been. Fine. But friends will address questions to him. Oh, Todd, what did you think of Arsenal at the weekend? I'm standing right there. I'm also an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
So it's really small things like that. And I also felt like I needed to justify my own knowledge of football. And as I've just said, I am not someone that has a deep tactical understanding of formations, overlapping I don't like watching the game like that. And I think for a few people that makes me a lesser fan, that makes me a not as dedicated, that I'm not right in the weeds, but that's just who I am. And I think to your point, Amanda, the story you were just telling there, I have absolutely no problem with people disagreeing with me and saying that they don't agree, or actually, no, this is what I think. It's just always added on as an extra. This is a silly woman's opinion. And it's just like, that's the bit that really gets me. By all means say, I think this is wrong, but it's always in the tone of, because you're a woman. No, we just disagree. And I know we're going to talk about the women's game in a little bit, but when I was growing up at school, football was not an option for me at school. So, spoiler alert, I went to a private school, I went to an independent school, bit of a posh school. For girls, it was netball and lacrosse. And we were really, really good. We used to win national titles. We were an elite school for netball and lacrosse. The boys, rugby, football, were not. And it always felt like, despite the fact that we were excellent, we would win, we would bring trophies home, it always had a bit of an asterisk because it was the girls. And then the boys, didn't win as much. And so that's why I feel so emotional watching the Lionesses, and more watching people care about the Lionesses. And my friends and I, who were all in the same netball team, voice noting each other in tears because we're like, people care. No one ever came to watch us. I remember having like 10 people come watch us in our national final for netball when I was about 15, and thinking that was incredible because people cared. And so, just to bring around what you just asked me, it's very much still there. And if you look at the kind of general landscape of content creators, voices in this business, it is overwhelmingly male. And I sit at the Emirates. I sit bang on the touch line, at the halfway line, right next to the press box. And right. I always have a little look who's in the press box. And I would say 9 times out of 10, it's, if not all men.
Yeah,
there might be one woman or 2 women there. That's it. And earlier this year, I did a sports journalism course, and I asked, one of the questions I asked to the guy running it, Jim White, who works at the Telegraph, like, what's going on with this male? It still feels like a boys' club. What's going on? And he was like, it is. it is unfortunately still a bit of a boys' club. So yes, I don't maybe get as many get back in the kitchen comments as I used to, but it's still there. And I think, Sophie, you've covered the women's game brilliantly for years. You will have been so used to people being like, no one cares. It's not as good as the men's game, yada, yada, yada. So it's just a constant that's just less of a kind of thing that distresses me, more of just an annoyance that I have to deal with it.
And that leads us nicely into the Lionesses, the Arsenal women's, what they've achieved. Incredible. And everyone knows, and I'm always honest, I was never into women's football. I didn't have time. I work a full-time job. Being into the Arsenal men's is enough. And obviously doing content on the podcast and stuff like that. But last season, I started to watch a few games. I've never been to a live one. And I was really, really surprised at the level I was of football, because going back to the late 80s, I actually did a little TV program with the Arsenal women. And when I went to film with them at Highbury, it was like a daytime program. The Arsenal women were playing, but it wasn't taken seriously. They were okay. I mean, I wouldn't say they, anything special, but I was like, oh, this is brilliant. At my school, I played rush goalie, and what that means is, for people that don't know, is that you could play goalie and defender. So they always wanted me in goal, but at least I played it. I was rubbish at football, by the way, but so football's been a massive part of my life. So women's football, I just didn't have time. But last season, Sophie, got into it a little bit. This season, I'm really enjoying it. I started watching Jan-Feb time. And then watching them win, I got so invested in the Champions League final as well, the semi. I've got invested in the Lionesses. I'm starting to learn who the players are. God knows when I'm going to find time for all this, but I started to learn and think, my God, this is absolutely brilliant. My friend's daughter, nothing to do with social media, my personal friend, she goes to the Emirates and watches the Arsenal women. And her family are not Arsenal fans, but she just loves the Arsenal women. And I was talking to her about it, and she said, oh my God, the atmosphere is incredible. And I suppose, in a way, families go with no fear of violence or anything, no fear of sexism, homophobic, anything, any ism, because families are there to enjoy the football. You must be so proud, Sophie, because you have been an advocate since day one. And I want to tell everyone that. It's not just like me who's just got into it. You really have, and you've really championed them. So you must be very proud of how far they've come, Arsenal and England.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I've never actually been to a women's game in person. I'm hoping that I'll do that this season. But yeah, I have watched them, well, obviously I said before, I watched the men's team around 2015. So
Yeah.
I started watching them maybe 2019. So it's honestly crazy, how much it's changed since then. Not just the attendances, but the players we've brought in as well. Obviously, you've got a really good manager now, but it's great to see how things have changed as well. And as you mentioned about sort of the people that do go to the games, I mean, I think that's probably why as well you do see more sort of women footballers come out and they can be themselves, because there isn't that judgment in the women's game. No one's really bothered. We're just there to support them. And as you said, it kind of is like a family day out to a lot of people, which I think is really lovely. So yeah, I think the women's game is different to men's. Obviously, I think it's more of a accepting sort of surrounding, which I think is nice. But yeah, the Arsenal women have come a long way. I mean, winning the Champions League as well. I didn't actually think we would do it. I didn't think we were going to do that. I mean, it still doesn't feel real as well. And obviously the Lionesses as well. I mean, winning it in 2022 was special. I think no one expected us to do it. I mean, I didn't really know how far we were going to go then, but I think doing it again is only going to help as well grow football in England as well, because I think it's great. Arsenal women actually do get really good attendances. The Emirates, maybe that's 20 to maybe 40,000 people every week, which is different. But I think other teams, maybe like a Chelsea or Man City or United, do struggle to get those attendances we get. So I think it's good that we're actually able to get really good attendances, because I remember when the women's team actually started playing at the Emirates, and there was a game I watched on TV and it was we played Wolfsburg, and I thought to myself, I think there was about 5,000 people in the crowd, and now you're getting nearly a full full crowd. So it's so lovely as well. I mean, the TV coverage as well, it being on Sky, I think it's great to promote it as well. So yeah, I'm genuinely happy to see it grow so much, and I'm sure it will continue to grow and keep getting better. But it is hard. I do get what you're saying, Amanda, because you're watching the men's team and then the women's team. It's
I
hard to
know.
watch them
It's
both.
time consuming. It's not, and obviously I was only brought up with men's football, of
Yeah.
course. But what I love, what I do love, because obviously I'm a lot older, but I still feel like I'm 30, and I act like that. Is Chloe Kelly. I mean, the celebrations, the hop, skip, and jump for the penalty. And I love the way she's so cocky. I bloody love it. Now, what I do enjoy about now, this is where I think the women get away with it. I do feel that her celebrations and her cockiness is frigging awesome, but she doesn't get slaughtered like if Saka did that or Havertz did that. I mean, look at, well, we know Lewis Skelly. You know, if she'd have sat down and done that, we would have all laughed. But Lewis Skelly's not allowed to do that because be humble and all that. So I love the fact they get away with a little bit more. And I'm really enjoying all the celebrations and as you know, us girls know how to party, and I just love it. They just don't care. They just want to enjoy it, and the fact they're doing so well as well. I mean, the Lionesses. I mean, so many people watched it. I mean, my mum even watched it. And she doesn't like football at all. She's not into it, but it's lovely because girls can grow up, young girls from 4 and 5 years of age can go and watch women's football. I didn't. I only had men's football to watch, and can support that and build that, and it's building and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'll tell you a tiny little story. Exactly, Laura, what happened to you in my old house, my first husband, when we lived together, I had a picture of Highbury, and a contractor came in to do some decorating. He started talking to my ex-husband about football, and he went, "It's not me you need to speak to." He was into football. He was an Arsenal fan. He used to play it, but he went, "It's her." That, and it's exactly that, isn't it? But that was in the 90s. I mean, it probably would still happen now. I don't care. I really don't. And do you know what I do to men? This is what I do to men. Because if they don't know what the 26th of May 1989 was, then you're not a true Arsenal fan. And I often say that because younger people don't really know that date, and they should, because it's the biggest night of our history. And yes, I have mentioned it. Not that I was there, but I've mentioned it. So I'm just saying that I play it the other way round. I've done it to a group of blokes before. I've done it in a pub.
Amanda, as well, like, one thing that I think is really important is you are allowed to say, look, I watched the men's team. I'm just getting into the women's team. I haven't really watched it in the past.
Yeah.
It's already quite time consuming. Nobody is saying everyone must care about women's football. That's not what the message is. The message is, if you're into it, welcome aboard. Like, I will hold my hands up and say, before maybe 2 seasons ago, I'd not watched a lot of women's football, but I am very much jumping on the bandwagon now because I've loved watching Arsenal. I've loved watching the Lionesses. I want to watch more of it. But you're allowed to be like, actually, I'm just going to focus on the men's game. That's fine. What you're not allowed to do, what we don't want people doing, which seems like a really specific behaviour to women's football, is constantly talk about how you don't like it or relate the reason that you don't like it to the women, the standard. It's not as good as the men's. Like, it's just such a baffling behaviour. So the example I always use is when we watch the Olympics, the 100-metre final is, probably the most anticipated event in the athletics, right? Usain Bolt wins in, let's say, well, he's retired now, 9:77. Women's one is run in maybe 10, just over 10 seconds. When we watch the women's one, we don't constantly sit there going, but she's not as fast as Usain Bolt, but she's not as fast as Usain Bolt, but she's not as fast as,
No,
it's not the same. You just, and if you don't like something, you just turn it off. I don't particularly like, don't find golf particularly fascinating to watch. I don't constantly tweet about how I don't like it. I just don't watch it. And just don't watch it. Just move on with your day. And that's
Let me tell you why, Laura. Let me tell you why.
Please, because honestly, I'm exhausted.
I think I'm right on this. I'm probably got lambasted for this. I think they feel threatened. men, not all men, and I will say that, not all men, but some men feel threatened that the women are playing decent football, getting decent coverage, getting decent support, and it's starting to threaten their manhood because football
Yeah.
was known. Even though women's football started first, football is known as a man's game. And all of a
Mm.
sudden, the women 5 years ago wasn't as big as this in the country, you know, but they have to comment. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Don't. Just turn it
Yeah.
off. We don't need
Or
to hear your comments.
comment, and this I think is my most like frustrating thing is, by all means comment in your private WhatsApp group with your friend. It doesn't need to be in a public place. You don't need to ring into LBC and tell everyone how much you hate women. And to your point, I get it, and there are lots and lots of kind of forces at play that men feel like they have this space. It's been theirs for a while, and I completely understand that there is still a need for men to feel like there is something that is theirs. I'm afraid you can't have football. Football is a global vehicle. You cannot gatekeep it. And to your point, like, what I don't get, and what I would love to understand from men, is that the women's game growing is not taking away from the men's game. It's additive, right? So people who are absolutely obsessed with women not getting paid, I'm like, but if Chloe Kelly demanding a better salary, she's not actively taking away from Erling
No.
Haaland's 500 grand a week. There is enough money, you know, and it's so strange to me. I'm just like, what on earth, what difference does it make to you, man in his basement, if Chloe Kelly gets paid more? What difference does it make to you? That's what I don't understand.
It is threatening their manhood. And I will say it again. It only elevates football to have the
Mm,
women's football there growing like this and playing decent football, because
mm,
there are a lot of families with females and males growing up that it was different for me. My dad took me and my brother, and I'm the one that stayed. And my brother loves football, but he doesn't go. So that was unusual. And when I was at Highbury, I only knew about 4 women, one of them being Maria, God rest her soul, and a couple of other women. That Janet is someone who follows Arsenal home and away longer
mm,
than me and goes to every away game, can be seen constantly on Match of the Day at the front row. She is she's like my sister from another mister, and I've known her since I was about 15, and a few others. But over the years now, look at us,
mm,
running podcasts and having content about football. And I find that a lot of our viewers on here are male and female. No male ever comes on and says, I don't want to see her face anymore, because if they did, they just wouldn't watch. It's
mm.
common sense. You don't like something, don't watch it. But it's been very remiss of me, because we've got 900 people watching this, over 900 at the moment. So I want to welcome you all to the show, even though we're 50 minutes in. We got so carried away. We look forward to your questions and stuff towards the end. But thank you so much. And if you could drop us a like or follow the YouTube channel, because me, Chris and James, who are the same old Arsenal for people that don't know, we'll be back probably next week or the week after to start off the season. So if you press the bell on YouTube, you'll never miss a show. And also our dynamic works really well on the same old Arsenals. Me and 2 boys, all different ages, but we've all got season tickets. We all go, we all sit in different parts of the stadium. We don't sit with each other. I don't even think I've met them once there, so and that dynamic works well. And the fact that, look, for instance, Angela, who is from Australia, a woman in Australia watching Arsenal and watching this podcast. Hello, Angela. We have loads of people in Australia, all around the world, and we appreciate all our viewers. So thank you for tuning in to these 2 lovely guests as well. We're going to hit 1,000 people in a moment. So if you've got any questions for the girls, that'd be great. I just want to touch on coming up to the present now with Mikel Arteta, because you were Wenger managers. They were your first managers. Obviously, I've had loads before then. So how I see Mikel Arteta and how I see the team. Okay, so I'll equate this to my working life. In my working life, I've worked in many places. And I'm finally at a place in my work home where my directors are the best directors I've ever worked for and the best colleagues I've ever had. I have to say that. And I've been there over 3 years now, and I, love them to pieces. And I work very, very hard for them because they appreciate me. Now, I'll equate that to Mikel Arteta and how the boys see him, Sophie, because this is how I feel. Now, I have been pro Arteta since day one. I can't deny that. Of course, I will sometimes sit there and say, why didn't he bring him on at 69 minutes? Or why has he only played him for 5 minutes? But what do I know? I'm not a manager. But we are entitled, aren't we, Sophie, as football fans, to say, why not? You know, that's absolutely fine. But I absolutely think he wants to do the best for our club the way my directors want to do the best for us. I feel like with his players, they idolise him. Am I wrong? Do you agree? Or are you not an Arteta lover? Let me know what you think.
I think, you know what, it's hard at the moment. I mean, I'm hoping that we've had a good window so far. I'm hoping that we can maybe added a few players, but I think it's so tough because I do really like him, but obviously the elephant in the room, the trophies, is the one thing that I'm just like unsure about, and I'm just hoping that next season we will get over that line, which I'm sure we will because we've brought in some great players. But I do think the players like Arteta, I do think that they look up to him. I mean, so many of these players have come because of Arteta, like Declan Rice. So I do definitely think they look up to him. I think as well, like when we've spoken a bit about, you know, lockdown and obviously to where we are now, we have definitely improved, we've progressed. I think the only thing that a lot of us might say is just the silverware is the only thing that is missing. And I think it would have been nice for us to maybe win few more FA Cups over these last few years. But what I will say is, under Arteta, I never really thought we would really be competing for the league. I mean, I did think he would improve us and get us trophies, but he has done better than what I expected. So I am hoping that next season we can win something. I would love to win the league. I mean, I've not really seen Arsenal win the league, so the league for me would be the one for me. So yeah, it's hard. I don't have a strong opinion. I like him, but I think maybe because we've not won trophies, there's a part of me that has my worries. But I do see him as winning stuff next season. I definitely think that. I mean, especially as I said, we've had a good window. I think it's hard really because I mean, when I do my videos, there's a lot of people that aren't a fan of him, and I always say, you know, we're all entitled to our opinion. If you don't think he's a guy, fair enough. But I think we should all be respectful about it. And if you're a Arteta, then you know I respect that as well. So I think at the moment I would say to you that I'm in the middle, but I do really like Arteta, and I do agree with you. I think from the day he came till now, you can really tell he lives and breathes this football club. He loves Arsenal, and he's came back to us for a reason. And I do really believe he wants us to win stuff, and he loves this club. So that is why I really want him to do well. But I think at the moment, I think we just have to start winning stuff again.
So, Laura, interestingly, thanks, Sophie, and I appreciate that. And I think a lot of your followers are not a lover of him, and that's absolutely fine. Obviously, if it's respectful, I don't have an issue with it. You're entitled to your opinion, but Laura, I think at the Emirates it's a little bit different. I think we're quite. I mean, you're opposite me, so I sit in the East Stand Upper, and you're in the West, by the sounds of it. Um, I, we sing his name loud and proud, don't we?
Yeah, I think a lot of the sentiment towards him, particularly at the moment, is gratitude for how far we've come. Like, I don't think maybe people do forget where we were when he took over. We were in a real state. And if you look at some of the other clubs where they've had a manager for a long time, like Man United, we are. Imagine if Arsenal were in that mess, and that really could have been us, given that we had Wenger for so long. Obviously, we went to Unai Emery. That didn't work out, but you know, we quickly changed it up. We're now 12 years on from when Alex Ferguson left, and Man United are in a mess. So, you know, not to compare ourselves, but it could have been a lot worse. We have done a transition from a, you know, legacy manager to where we are now, and also from where we were when Arteta took over. The players that he's brought in, the type of football that we play, I think all deserves a huge amount of credit. I don't think that makes him immune to criticism and scrutiny about how he has managed the squad, some decisions that he's made. But I think all of that is as well, this is his first managerial role. And so I think the comparisons with, you know, even last season, Ange, Slot, these are seasoned managers. Arteta is in his first role. He might be 5 or 6 years into it, but he's still in his first role as a manager. Oh, he studied under Pep. Under Pep is very different from having been a manager at another team. So I think he has built up a lot of goodwill from fans, which is 100% deserved. The players that we've brought in, how good we are defensively, I think for me is one of the things that used to drive me insane about Arsenal during the kind of late teens and the later years of Wenger, is we were so easy to score against. You just knew that there was some sort of brain fart moment coming up because of the personnel we had, with no disrespect to Mustafi and players of that era. They were just prone to errors, whereas now we are very difficult to score against. We are solid in at back, and we have the right personnel. I think probably the best centre back partnership in the league. We've set records for how difficult it is to score against us. I think Arteta deserves a huge amount of praise for that, and for the praise, as you said, Amanda, the environment around the club is so much better than it was 5 years ago. Like it just is. There is a lot of goodwill. I am worried about the upcoming season because I can sense a turn. I can just sense this. We've had 3 seasons of near misses. That translates into desperation. It translates into frustration. And I certainly worry that in our first couple of games, we've got a very tough start to the season. People will start to question Arteta, whether he is the right person. He has absolutely been the right person to take us this far. Is he the right person to take us over the line, which is the silverware? And I think people underestimate how big that 1% is. And yeah, I think he is absolutely the right person. We have to stick with him, but I don't think he is immune to criticism. And yeah, my overlying thing is I want this squad, this group of players, to be rewarded with what they deserve, which is silverware. Like I want to see Saka lift a trophy. I want to see Saliba lift a trophy because I think it is what they deserve. It's just not come together at the right time. And as you said earlier about the Fulham game, football is a game of very, very small margins. You can go back through our season and torture yourself with what ifs. But I think this season will be the one where we realise whether this group of players has actually reached its peak in terms of they can't go any further, just falling short, or whether Arteta can find something else in them. Or what I think is probably the most likely is we just need a bit of luck. We just need a bit of luck, and we had none of it last year. Like, fair enough to Liverpool, they were consistent, they got the job done, but we were so unlucky. And to kind of go over yourself and try and find issues that we could have improved, you can do that all day, but you can also say, actually, quite a lot of it is luck. Like, you cannot legislate for that kind of injuries, strange refereeing calls, which affects everyone. I'm really not one of those people that sits and blames the referees. I find it so boring. But, those were incidents that we had to deal with last year. I want a bit of luck so Arteta can get his flowers and we can put to bed this idea that he's been some sort of failure at Arsenal, which I think is rubbish.
And also, it's fine, as you said, fine lines, fine margins. The injuries last year were incredible. I've never seen anything like it. We didn't have the depth in squads. We're all screaming for a striker in January. We couldn't get one in. To come second and get to a Champions League semi-final with the injuries we had is incredible. We see now this season is a strange one because we've changed a lot of the squad. And I have a little list here of the newbies that have come in. Let's have a look. So, Norgard, Zubamendi, Mosquera, Gyökeres, Madueke, Kepa. It's a lot to bed in. Not Kepa so much, but it's a lot to bed in. And achieving your first season a trophy, because it's not just one new player, it's quite a lot. Please God, Eze this week as well. And as we were talking about the fixtures, we've got United away, Leeds home, Liverpool away, Forest home, City home. I mean, look, you've got to play them. I would have not have wanted United away because that is our bogey side. And you're right, I know it sounds funny, and I'll go through my predictions in the next podcast, but I can't see us winning it regardless because it's just one of those. United will be up for it because it's Arsenal coming with all their new signings, and I'm assuming Gyökeres might start. Who knows with Havertz? It's going to be really interesting to see how this all pans out. I think it's going to take a couple of seasons, and I think people need to be patient. The luck, you see now, I believe in that, Laura. I sit at the Emirates and go, we need a rub of the green. We need a bit of luck. And everyone's going, you make your own luck. No, if you hit that close to the goalpost and it goes there instead of that, that's just that bit of luck. Someone needs to be looking after us this season because we had nothing last season. And the seasons before coming so close. Then the injuries hit, and don't start me on VAR and PG. I can't go there. I don't want to ruin my Sunday morning. But I do feel very excited. I mean, Gyökeres is the most exciting signing, obviously. We just want, with our creativity and how many balls we get in the box and we're screaming, put it in, where is everyone? Da, da, da. I'm hoping Gyökeres is just going to be there. And then, obviously, I'd like to see how Saka's come on since the injury, because when he came back, it wasn't the same Saka. It could have been because he was a bit cautious. It could have been that mentally affect him a little bit. I don't know. But if we get the Saka we did before he was injured and everyone else, plays to their capabilities, it's going to be exciting. I'm not cautious though, Laura. I'm really excited. I don't expect a result on day one away. If United were coming to us, I would, but I just don't expect it. So I'm not so worried about that. But the next game and we need to start winning, of course. The pressure is on Arteta and Berta because he's brought in some great players, and it'll be interesting to see how good Berta is at selling players as well, because obviously that's another factor in the next. I don't even know when the window ends. Is it the end of August? Is it 31st or the 1st of September? I don't know, but there's going to be quite a bit comings and goings, and let's just hope that it's exciting, because that's what we want. That's what we pay our money for, and I think it's going to be great. Let me get on to a few questions. If you're okay to stay with us, girls, because at the moment we're hitting 1,100 people watching this, so we must be doing something right. And thank you to everyone for watching. Right, so we've answered you about the Gogglebox one. Right, so interestingly, we've just touched on this. So yes or no? So Sophie, Carl said, does Arteta have to win something next season?
I'd say yeah. I don't mind what he wins, but I think he has to win
Any
something.
trophy. Laura?
Exactly the same. Yes, he does, and I don't care what it is.
Right, another one from Carl. Favourite Arsenal player ever? Why? Favourite non-Arsenal player? So Sophie, I did say I was going to touch on your favourite match and stuff. So let's go with your favourite player ever and the one that you don't like.
For me, even though I'm like a fan of the Wenger era, I'm gonna say David Rocastle for me is my favourite player. I just love him. I think his passion and what he did for Arsenal was amazing. I know he's not going to be like the greatest Arsenal player, but he's so loved by so many people. What was the other question again?
Your non-Arsenal, the one that you've really not liked over the years.
I don't know, actually.
So I'll just give you a heads up. Mine is William Gallas. I didn't like what he did. I think it was Birmingham when he sat on the pitch. He's never been an Arsenal player. I know we have a lot of ex-Chelsea, and I don't have an issue with it. I know people do, but I don't. But William Gallas, never I've warmed to him. And to be honest, I know this is funny, but Sol Campbell, it was very tough for me to welcome the Tottenham captain into the team, because I always saw him as the Tottenham captain. So, but of course he was brilliant for us and everything. So mine's Ian Wright. It's very hard because I've got many, but if I'm true to myself, it's Ian Wright. So Laura, your best and your worst.
My favourite player is Fabregas. Has always been, will always be. When he first was, he started at the Arsenal so young. I think he was our youngest player for a while. I've still got a massive picture here of him on my wall outside in my kitchen. He is my favourite player. It broke my heart when he went to Barcelona. You always remember your first heartbreak, and that was mine. And what was the other question? My favourite non-Arsenal player is Kevin De Bruyne. I just wish he'd come to Arsenal, and I'm so glad that he is now not going to be drifting through our midfield and scoring goals against us. I'm sick of the sight of him, but he was a wonderful player. My least favourite Arsenal player, probably Gallas, because I just think the way he behaved was just not in keeping. Adebayor as well. got a bit of an issue with, and also Van Persie. I think
Oh yeah.
when he went to Man United that season, he was a legend at Arsenal. He could have done so with so much more grace. Obviously, yes, I do like Ricardo Calafiori, but he needs to play for me to actually appreciate him. But Van Persie could have been an Arsenal legend, but he went to Man United. You never know what went on behind closed doors, but he was running his mouth. He has since talked about Arsenal in derogatory ways. You contrast that with the likes of Ian Wright, who always talks about we, us. You know, Van Persie is just in the bin for me, which is a shame because he was a wonderful footballer, like just a wonder. Yeah, Carl, I agree. I do agree that the whole Barcelona transfer with I can't remember who it was pulling the Barcelona shirt on his head when he was with Spain really hurt. But he's still my favourite player. You always remember your first love.
I totally get that. I'm getting some great comments as well. Julian White, invincible team as a collective, absolutely. If I had to choose, it would be right. I think, Julian, you're roughly my age, so I think that's probably that. So ladies, God, we could carry on for ages. It's been absolutely brilliant, and I have to tell you that I mean, we're nearly hitting 1,150 people watching this, and I don't think we've done that before on the Same Old Arsenal. So, you both have obviously got some pulling here, which is fantastic. I've loved it. You two are definitely coming back on during the season because what I like is the difference in opinion. You know, Sophie, you've said, yeah, you know, I like Arteta, but he's got to do this. Laura gets that as well. I'm completely in for him. So it just proves you can have a conversation without being abusive. You don't have to, you know, I don't have to go, I'm right. Football can't be right. It's opinion based. So just respect people's opinions and enjoy chatting about it. Now, Sophie, tell everybody where they can find you and all your, you know, I say handles. That's how old I am. Your Twitter names and things like that.
Well, thank you for having me on first of all, and it has gone so quick. I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, as I said, my YouTube channel is Gooner Gossip TV. I still call it Twitter as well, but you can follow me on there, which is TV_Gooner, and Twitter, Instagram, sorry, is Gooner Gossip TV.
That's fabulous. And Sophie, what your next? Have you been doing shows through the summer? Have you
Yeah,
had a
I've
few
been
people
doing
on?
like a few transfer videos. Obviously I did a lot of stuff on the Euros, and as well I've done stuff on like the women's transfer window as well. But when it's the season, I'll just be doing like usual match previews, and I have to get you both on my channel again as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I loved coming on. I love going on other people's podcasts. I did the North Bank one this month, and what was the other one? I feel really bad because I can't remember, the Grove or something. It was so nice to talk to people I never normally talk to because, funny enough, they were interested in my 89 blog and
Yeah.
stuff that I did, where the boys on this show can't stand me talking about, which is funny. So I do it on purpose, of course. Laura, tell us everything. Oh, sorry, let me just mention that Sophie had Laura Woods on, and I thought that was such a fantastic interview. You must have loved that, Sophie. Being that she's in the media and being that she's an Arsenal fan, I think she's great in the way she handles it.
Yeah.
Laura, you remind me a little bit of her actually in the way she deals with
She
stuff.
is so brilliant, Sophie, and I thought you interviewed her brilliantly in terms of how she deals with the abuse that she gets. She's absolutely ruthless. She's like she'll kind of retweet with a funny comment, and I just think if you're a man, if you're going to go for Laura Woods, you better not miss. You better not miss because you're about to be embarrassed.
Yeah, her comebacks are amazing. I love it.
So was she as nice, you know, to talk to off air as was she the same? I'm assuming she would be.
Well, it's a funny story because I met her ages ago before that video, and we did a video at Talksport in the studio, but something happened to footage, and then we did it again. But you know, the first time I met her, I just thought she is so lovely, and I actually met her on holiday as well when I was there because we were at the same sort of area, and she's just. I can't tell you how nice she is, like probably the nicest people I've ever met.
Lovely.
She's just so genuine, and I think you see that anyway when you watch her on TV or wherever you watch it. But yeah, and she's just got such a lovely personality. And I met her family as well, and they were so lovely as well. But yeah, she was so lovely to talk to, and it was hard because I had like a limited amount of time, and I wanted to ask her like so many questions. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. She was really lovely to chat to.
It'll be lovely the day comes when we just say football fan and not female football fan or man. You don't say male, but just
Yeah.
we are just Arsenal football fans. And the two people I've had on this channel that were amazing was Rebecca Lowe, who runs NBC over in LA, and we still keep in contact. She runs the biggest sport network. I mean, come on, that's fantastic. And also Alison Bentner, who is actually a friend of mine now, who's on Sky a lot, massive Chelsea fan, flipping knows her football. You know, people like that is just wonderful for us. So Laura, you never know in years to come with you, doing a journalism course and stuff like that. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Sure. So on Twitter, I am Laura Kirk 12. I'm on Instagram, Laura Kirk Francis, which is my married name, although I've not actually changed it officially, so I still just go by Laura Kirk. And also, if you are at the Emirates or any of the away games this season, I'm going to be doing some presenting work for another channel. So I'll be looking for people to interview. It will be classic Laura Kirk style interviews. So I will not be asking you serious questions. I will probably be asking you, which player do you think smells the best? So if you are at any of these games, please look out for me. I'm going to be looking for people to interview to create content with. So give me a shout.
Oh, Laura, that's fantastic. And listen, things like that escalate people, because once you're seen and people like what they see, which is what happened to the other ladies I mentioned, you never know. We could be watching you and Sky Sports in years to come. I can see it now. Me and Sophie will be going, we had her on our podcast. She was on our podcast. Listen, I just think if you're good enough and you're talented enough, it don't matter if you're male or female. I think, to be fair, the men are losing a fighting battle now, because look at the women. We're just rolling it. We're steamrolling in. Right, everybody, thank you so much. I've loved this. God, an hour and 15. We only normally do an hour. See what I mean? And so people in the chat are saying they want us to get together again.
Let's do it again. Like,
oh, we will be.
Sunday morning. Who's doing anything on a Sunday morning as well? I'm certainly not.
I know. We're nearly up to 1,200 watchers. I'd like to thank all of you, honestly. I didn't know how this show would go down, because obviously us being female, not that it matters. We know our stuff, so it really doesn't matter. But, you know, in this social media world of ours, however, it's gone brilliant. I've loved it. Didn't even realise the time. And yes, Cole, I will get them on again, Amanda. Absolutely will.
Also, can I say, Amanda, we had technical difficulties. You were not rattled at all. I would have been in tears. I would have been like, right, we're not doing it. Everyone go home. We're not doing it. So phenomenal host.
Laura, I did start to sweat a little bit. I think I've gone a bit red because the boys do the IT stuff on here, so they could have just taken it over. But thank you so much. Honestly, ladies, it's been brilliant. Right, you lot. I think we're going to have a week off, and then me and the boys will be back. And we will be doing our season predictions, game predictions, talking about the boys. And hopefully by then, Eze may have joined us. Who knows? I don't know anything. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I love it when August comes around because it's the start of the football season. Laura and I will be heading off to the Emirates. Sophie, we were watching at home. And hopefully, Sophie, you get down for some of the women's games as well. And we're off season 25-26. First page of my new podcast book has been for this show. Go on, Laura, show them. Laura does a book as well.
I'm old school. This is
so old school. So the next podcast will be us predictions. Thanks everyone for listening. We really, really appreciate it. And as I always say, always Arsenal. Never forget that. Take care, everyone.